Welcome back to CharismaToAC in this introduction session to A Grave Wedding, our Legend of the Five Rings campaign, which is... well, the campaign proper starts up in a little while, but as per usual, we have these introduction sessions with each of the player characters involved. And this is our fourth and, I believe, final one. This involves Karis, whom you've met in It's a Dog's Life. And Karis, can you tell us a little bit about your character?
Sure. So my character is called Hida Aya, and for those who know something about Legends of the Five Rings, you might the Hida clan is basically like the big part of the Crab clan. Meaning, Aya is basically a giant samurai lady with a big club
Yes.
who is a little bit too friendly with people for like most samurais' tastes.
Yeah, probably a little less reserved than most samurai would be.
Exactly, yeah. Hida does have a few characteristics that aren't very typical of the crab, thinking of the blonde hair she's got, which is more typical of like Crane. She tends to be very empathetic with people. She is very slow to anger, quick to smile, but she can be very stern during combat. And her baby name is, of course, Suiko. I think that's about it. Like
Yes. That's a good intro. It gives people a basic idea of what to expect, I suppose. And we start out with you being located all the way down here in Kaiushiro, which is one of the main keeps of the Crablands. It's not the Hida main base, which is all the way down here in Kyoto Hida. It is you are located a little bit or quite far really away from that, but you like any Hida, you will spend a lot of your time on the wall. And it can be at any part of the wall. It depends really on where are people needed at any given time. And when we join you, it's because there has been a fairly significant attack on this portion of the wall from the other side of the from the Shadowlands, as they're called, that are located out here. And you have helped defend this section of the wall up here and help push back the attackers. And it's so as some people would say, other people call it Tuesday.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because that's pretty much what Hida do for a living.
Yep.
And you know, for any other samurai in the Empire, standing on the wall and seeing this flood, this tidal wave coming on of monsters, some of them like 20 feet tall oni with you know, rock-like skin and so on, they would just piss themselves in abject terror and you know, run away, and to the crabs, that, as I said, it's Tuesday. Because that's what they do.
We're the sea breacher, like the like. I actually forget the name of those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The like extensions into the sea.
Yeah, the break waves.
Yes.
And you it's been a pretty hard fight, and there have been some casualties, but it was a victory nonetheless, and the enemy forces have been soundly defeated with far greater casualties than what you suffered yourself, basically. and so you are called. You are being called into a meeting with your lord, and I can't actually remember if we came up with a name for your lord specifically.
Ooh, that's actually a good question. I don't remember either. Let me double check real
I
quick.
don't think we did.
Yasuki Kenji was
he's the groom.
was a murdered.
Yeah, he's the groom.
Yes. No, I don't believe I have actually.
All right.
No.
In that case, this fellow, because that was actually what I wanted to use him for. This fellow is the lord of note that you serve directly. He is a daimyo.
An absolute unit is what he is.
He is an absolute unit, and he is also a daimyo. So he's got many samurai under his command, obviously, and he calls for you specifically, and it's the night after the attack. So you know people have had time to rest up a little, and in some people's cases get uproariously drunk, because that's quite typical after an attack. People go to town on the sake.
I imagine Aya also tends to drink a little bit too much.
Probably, yes. I imagine that she doesn't hold back.
Yeah.
But yes, he calls for you and requests your presence.
I of course will oblige.
Yes.
It's maybe important to note for the audience at this point that Aya's hair is currently black still. It has not turned blonde.
It has not turned blonde just yet. But it will.
But it will.
It will. And he addresses you, and when you come in, he doesn't waste any time. He turns around and looks at you and nods and goes, "Well, good fighting on the wall yesterday.
Thank you, my lord.
I have a task for you. It is not something which will happen just yet, but in a few months' time."
Aya kind of makes a little gesture, like a questioning gesture.
Mm-hmm. He says, "One of our Yasuki allies, obviously, as you know, the Yasuki, out of character you as a character, you would be aware that the Yasuki are obviously a family that are a part of the Crab clan, but they are also formerly from the Crane clan. They have joined the Crabs by leaving the Crane clan some centuries back, and it's still a very raw and open wound between the two clans. This is one of our Yasuki allies is getting married, and I've been invited." And he gives you a look as if to see if you
wish for a Yoshimbo?
He smiles crookedly,
yeah,
like it's obvious that he likes your answer. It's a good answer. He says, "No, no, I'm not able to go, unfortunately. I simply cannot justify leaving the wall for that long for something that frivolous. But the Yasuki in question will need a Yojimbo. And seeing as he is a friend of my family, he's requested one of me. Guess who I chose?"
I think Aya doesn't say anything. Just kind of like nods.
Yes. I know. It's never optimal to have to leave the wall behind. None of us really like doing so. I know this. But if I don't turn up for this wedding, I have to send a representative, he says. I don't have a choice in the matter. It would be a complete social deroute if I didn't do that. So I'm sending you, and you will be the Yojimbo for the young man in question. He's a likable fellow. I hope you'll get along with him.
Well, this is an honor for certain. You can see Aya is kind of like trying to be nice here.
Yes. It is
she's
an
not
honor.
happy with this.
No, not at all.
Thanks for the honor, you dick.
She's not wrong. It is an honor to be chosen for something like this, but at the same time, it's also very much a matter of, fuck it, I'll be away from my duties.
Yeah.
But he nods and says, so here's the interesting part of it, because I'm not quite sure what to think of this myself, he says. But the young man is actually marrying a crane. He's marrying a kakita.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're trying...
Is this
go on. Please.
Excuse me.
No, please, go on.
Is this a way to mend old grievances?
I think that's the idea, yes, he says. I think at least it's an attempt to start mending old grievances. I mean, obviously, cranes and crabs have married rarely, but they have. But for a Yasky to marry a crane is practically unheard of. So this is an attempt at making things better, I guess. Tell me, he says, how much do you know of the politics of the clans at the moment?
She blinks for a second. I do not concern myself too much with those matters, I'm afraid.
No, I don't blame you. I unfortunately have to. And it's obvious from the look on his face. He makes absolutely no attempt at hiding how displeasing he thinks that is. It's like, ew.
No, politics.
Politics, no. But he looks you up and down and he says, but the thing is, there are parts of our clan who would rather see us ally with the Scorpions, but this will kill any chance we have of peace with the Cranes, because basically the Cranes are going to feel like we're going to outflank them on two sides. And personally, he says, this is my opinion, I would rather avoid that. I don't think we can trust the Scorpions. I never think we could. They tend to be looking out for themselves first and foremost.
I have some experience in the matter, I'm afraid.
So, personally, I would like to see this marriage work out.
Understandably. Well, I will perform my duties to the best of my ability, as you would expect.
Of course.
Is there anything you would require of me while I'm away? Anything I need to ensure?
Well, yes, one thing. I do have a wedding present for the... Well, I have one for each of them, obviously. I kind of have to. But I will already have presented my wedding present to Kenji, to the groom, myself. But I do want you to bring a wedding present to the bride for me, and a message.
She nods.
He turns around and reaches out for a. There's a long lacquered box placed on a table, and he opens it, and you can see that it contains a beautifully crafted daisho, so a katana and a wakizashi.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very high craftsmanship from the looks of things. It is quite a lot of crabs not all, but a lot of them, don't really care much about the looks of their weapons so long as they are effective.
Yeah.
But clearly he's gone to some trouble to get some, some proper craftsmanship here. Because this
thinking of like crane things. Yeah, that makes sense.
And he lets you have a look at the weapon and he says, give her these, because she is a Kakita. They do like their swords in that family, as we all know. Give her these and tell her from me that I look forward to seeing them in use. And of course, out of character, the point being that he isn't going to leave the wall. The only way he can see them in use is if she comes down here and helps out.
Come here and help.
Yes.
Oh God, we're being overrun. Although we'd never admit it.
Never admit it, but at the same time, the other clans need to be constantly reminded of the fact that they don't actually send anyone to help on the fucking wall.
Yeah, exactly. I think Aya simply nods and accepts it. She's not gonna
No.
start analyzing his motives or whatever.
No, of course not. But you take the box and says you will meet with Kenji, with the groom, in a few days' time, but the wedding is not until in 3 months. So until we get a little bit closer, you will still be performing your duties on the wall as always.
Very well.
And
I look forward to it.
Yes, that
my
is
duties on the wall.
He grins and nods and lets you go, basically. And we fast forward just a few days for you to actually meet up with this young man.
Mm-hmm.
And he is. He arrives at Kaiushiro from the north. He's coming down from the north and is stopping over to meet up with you because he has other business to attend to before the wedding itself. And that means basically that, as you learn, you will be performing your duties as his Yojimbo from the moment you meet him. But it's still about, let's say, a week passes before he makes it there. And when he does, you are summoned to his rooms, where you are received by this rather handsome, actually, young man. He is well built, stronger looking than most Yasuki. They tend to be a little more slender of build than many cranes. Many crabs, because of their crane background. But he is a well-built young man who could no doubt grab a sword and actually know what end goes into the other man, as to misquote an old movie. And he is by himself when you are summoned, and he nods and smiles when he sees you, and he's like, so I understand that we are to travel together for a while. I am Yasuki Kenji. It is a pleasure to meet you.
Good to meet you, young master. My name is Hida Aya. It is you are correct. I will be escorting you for the foreseeable future. Excellent. Although I'm sure you could handle yourself should it be necessary.
I possibly could, but let's face it, there are many dangerous things between here and where we need to go. And
certainly.
And I would prefer to arrive at my wedding in one piece. And considering you, he says, and looks at you up and down, because this is the thing. When you said that that Aya is tall, as I recall, you took an advantage that makes her very tall.
She is noticeably so. For the people who saw the werewolf game, I'm playing Angry Boo.
Yes.
I'm playing a very, very tall. Like I'm playing a very big samurai, maybe like 1.90 meters tall, like just towering over people. Definitely like an intimidating figure.
Yes.
Especially if she's in armor, which she isn't right now, but.
No, but if she is in armor, she is definitely a terrifying sight.
Exactly.
And he does look you up and down, and it's obvious that he appreciates the sheer size of the Yojimbo he's been assigned. He goes, so for the record, he says, just so that we both are on the same page, I have fought on the wall in the past, and I no doubt will in the future as well. While it's not normally the Yaski's first and primary duty to fight, at the same time, I feel that it's important that we all do our duty to the clan. So
I think that's a very wise way of looking at it.
And he nods and he says, I also intend for when I have gotten married, I do intend to make sure that my wife will also be spending some time on the wall eventually. I have he smirks slightly. I have just met her, and I'm pretty sure that I will be spending a good amount of time in Crane Lands as well, but I think we can reach some form of understanding where she will also be spending time on the wall. She's a reasonable woman, and she is actually a capable fighter.
Oh, that's wonderful. In that case, our daimyo will be quite pleased.
I should hope that he will be, because it's obviously it is a he thinks for a moment to find the right terminology here, and he says it is unusual for a crab to be bothered by the affairs of the Caillou Wall, and between you and me, he says, I find it as difficult to understand as anyone else why we don't have other clans helping us on the wall constantly. It's their lands we're protecting in the end.
Yes, exactly. Well, perhaps this marriage will have some effect in that regard.
We can certainly hope that it'll help mend some fences, because there are... well, there are many fences that need mending between the Yaski and the Crane.
Absolutely.
He takes out a bottle of sake and offers a cup to you as well. He pours himself one.
She takes it very gratefully.
And he sits down, cross-legged. And he says,
one moment. I'm just gonna. I don't know if you hear that in the background, but there's a lot of beeping.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna quickly.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
I'll turn that off real quick.
Yep, absolutely.
Just a second. There we go. That's better. Alrighty, get back to it.
No more beeping.
Yes.
He sits there and shares a drink or two with you, and basically he does small talk pretty well, because he seems to understand that it is not a primary skill to be developed for most crabs.
Mm-hmm.
So he primarily talks about the wall and the fighting going on there, and he's very interested in the action that you have recently taken part in the big fight that was taking place on this section of the wall.
I imagine, I don't know if this is a thing with crabs in general, but I imagine Aya, kind of, exaggerates the whole, there were, a billion of them,
of course. Why sell yourself short, eh? So, no, he smiles and listens to all of that, but the one thing that you clearly note is he is very interested in finding out if there was anything missing, if there were any, if there's any equipment that there, weren't there enough arrows? Do you need more swords? Do you need more? Was there sufficient armor? Fingers of jade to repel the Shadowlands taint, that sort of thing. He is, because the Yasky, first and foremost, are the logistics department of the Crab Clan. They're the merchants.
Absolutely.
And it's obvious that what he is clearly trying to do here is he's trying to find out what he needs to make sure gets sent here.
Yeah, I think Aya is generally going to try to not go we need everything, right? Because that's a very easy...
that's an easy trap
mistake
to fall into.
make.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But instead, basically describe what you actually need.
Yeah, obviously, more arrows is always good. More eyes of jade, because those are rare. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. And he takes mental note of them. It's clear that he's got his mental notebook open, and he takes care to memorize the various things that you describe, and so basically the evening passes pretty easily like that, and then he says the idea is, what we are going to do once we leave here is we will head down to Kyodanhida and make sure that the necessary supplies get sent here from there, and then we are going to restock what needs to be restocked at Kyodanhida after that, or I am, and then from there we will head on to the wedding.
That sounds like a good idea to me.
And he nods and says, so we will be leaving at first light, so we should probably get an early night's sleep.
Yes. I think I generally is more of a late sleeper kind of person, but obviously being on the wall doesn't always get to sleep in.
A lot of crabs learn the skill of sleeping whenever they have the opportunity to do so.
It's one of those things where she prefers to stay in, but she can absolutely do it, obviously.
Yes. When you get up the next morning, you learn that your lord Otsuko has made sure that there's a horse for you, or a riding pony, as it would be. It's not a war horse, but a sturdy a sturdy pony, long-legged one, so that you don't basically stand astride it. And there are a couple of Ashgaru soldiers as well. Just a few of them to help protect you and Kenji on the road, because you never know what you bump into. A small group of creatures behind the wall or something. Yeah, that could be something that has managed to get through the wall.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you set off. And I need to ask you one thing, because there are a couple of events that need to happen, of course.
Exactly. And
that event, I'm going to say, happens while you are at Kyoden Hida.
Okay.
If that is all right with you.
I'm fine with it.
Yes.
I am curious how that will end up, but I'm fine with that.
Yes. So while you are there is another attack.
Oh boy.
And obviously, you may be there to escort Kenji and all that, but both you and Kenji obviously grab your weapons and do your part in defending.
Oh no! I have to escort this person, and he happens to be in the middle of a battle. Whatever will I do?
Whatever will you do? Exactly. So you grab your weapons and you lay into the enemies, and there is this one. Do you want us to actually play out the scene, or do you want to simply say that it happened so that it can remain a bit of a secret? Or it's up to you.
I think maybe let's keep it a secret for the audience. I think that will be more interesting.
Yes. Okay. We will say that as part of. Because I'm sure that it will come up in the story that is to follow. So there is a bit of a secret here about this character, and this is when it happens. But the result of it is a rather stark change of appearance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because your hair changes color.
Yep.
And she's struck mute.
Yes, exactly. So very talkative Aya doesn't get to speak anymore.
No, she needs to learn how to communicate using gestures and written messages and so on.
Yep. So that's going to be interesting.
That will be interesting, definitely. But it takes almost 2 weeks before you're able to leave Kyoden Hida, and that was not the original plan. But the attack was powerful, and it is a cause for some concern. Because if there has just been a major battle at Kaiushiro, which there has been, normally it takes a while for the Shadowlands creatures to muster up enough force to be able to launch another major attack somewhere else along the wall.
Yeah, but in this case, they could attack twice, basically.
They attacked twice within this stretch of maybe a month and a half, which is
very quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there are skirmishes and so on going on constantly. But 2 major battles in that short a time it's not unheard of, but it is one of those things where crab commanders will say, perhaps they are mustering for something big on the other side of the wall. We need to be careful.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
We need reinforcements.
Yes, we need reinforcements.
As we always do.
As you always do. And unfortunately, no reinforcements look like they might be coming from the rest of the clans, as per usual.
Yeah, what a surprise!
What a surprise! That said, Kenji does have he has an idea. And he takes you along and basically leaves the Ashgaru troops behind to help. Basically he tells them, this is your new station. This is where you will be fighting from now on. And then he and you set out along the coast for a small village where he tells you on the way that he has contacts within the Mantis clan. And that he is, if he's not mistaken, there will be a ship docked at this village where one of his friends, who owes him a favor or two, will be on board.
Yeah, I think Aya tries to respond and then realizes, oh wait,
yeah, no
yeah,
sound
just nothing comes out.
No sound comes out.
Then once she realizes, oh right, mute, she just kind of awkwardly nods.
Yes,
it's just a.
He explains to you that basically what he intends to do is he intends to go there and tell this friend of his that he will call their debts even if he will take his crew and spend a month on the wall.
Okay.
So
I mean, that's pretty good.
That is it's clear that it's a significant debt, that if he can ask for something that major, but he is you make it to this village called the Village of Two Scales.
Mm-hmm.
You're not quite sure if it refers to the scales of a merchant or scales of a fish, but it's called the Village of Two Scales. And
I'd ask someone, but you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of difficult when you don't have a voice anymore, isn't it?
Yeah.
It might be a bit of both, you realize, because there's quite a lot of trading going on here from the looks of things. Primarily between the Mantis and the crabs. But you do see a couple of cranes here as well. Just a few. I mean, you are down here.
Mm-hmm.
And you are very close to crane lands as well. So it shouldn't be that big of a surprise. But at the same time, you know, it still feels weird. It still feels weird. They rarely come over for a visit, so to say.
Yeah.
But you do meet up with this Mantis crew, and they are exactly as rowdy as one might expect from that particular clan. They are basically pirates. Matey. And
so is there like a sake version of grog?
More sake.
Where is the sake gone?
Yes. Oh, yes. Where's the sake gone? But there is much rejoicing when Kenji arrives. There is a lot less rejoicing when he makes his demand of the captain. But you were present there for it, obviously.
Yeah, I think also Hida is just trying to look as intimidating as possible during this time. It's like, well, look at me, I am giant, strong lady.
Yes, yes, of course.
Scary.
Well, actually, that might call for a roll. Let us see if we can't find the right thing for you to roll here. If we look at your skills, because that, I think, is a command plus fire check to look intimidating and big and earth.
Let's see here. Command. Don't think I have anything. I do have one in command, so cool. So I just roll it. No bonuses or anything.
No bonuses or anything. No. Ooh, that is a really good roll, but it's a lot of strife.
That's a lot of strife.
You can keep up to 2 of them if you want to, of course.
Yeah, so obviously I'll take the explosive success.
Obviously.
And then, is there a difference between the skill
None at
dice
all.
and the...
None at
Okay,
all.
then I'll just take one of the other.
Okay, so roll another ring die, just because you may get more successes.
Yeah.
No, but you did get an opportunity, which is really good. Excellent. So you get 2 successes and 2 strife.
Mm-hmm.
And an opportunity. Which is good. The target number was only 1, so it's not a you get a bonus success on top of that, which is a good thing. So you come across exactly the right way. These guys, this, not only the captain but his crew, and they respect strength.
Yeah.
And that is what you are radiating right now. You are coming across as somebody who should not be. Thou shalt not fucketh with this woman. or thou shalt be smacketh muchly.
There shall be smacketh in the face.
And you realize that there's one guy in the room in particular. The bosun of the ship, who otherwise looks like he might have gotten up and actually issued like a challenge of some sort to, say like, you're champion against me, and if you win we will do a month on the wall. He is actually because of your opportunity, he is actually convinced that would be a majorly bad career move on his part. So
like looks at me, stares him down.
Yeah, and he kind of just goes, yeah, you know what? A month on the wall seems like a fairly good idea. So
nice.
So you can add 1 glory for this.
Cool. Where do I add this?
It is on the same page as your skills and up at the top.
Yeah. Cool.
There you go. And the pirates basically agree to do what KG asks them to do. He tells them, you need to go and help reinforce along the wall, and he gives them. There are a certain number of watchtowers. They are numbered in a specific way, and he tells them which one to go to, and it is this one.
Sorry, can you ping again? I didn't quite.
Yes, absolutely.
The second one from the bottom.
Yes, the second one from the bottom.
Yeah.
He tells them to go there and to report to the local daimyo and to spend a month there from the day they arrive. And then they will be quit. Then they will be even. There won't be any more debt between them. And the captain goes along with this and nods and says, he does ask if it's all right if he leaves just a few men behind to guard the ship, because obviously, he wants to still have a vessel when he comes back here. And Kenji obviously says that is absolutely fine, that he can leave a few men behind to just look after the ship, but that he also guarantees that the ship will be here on his honor.
Ooh, okay.
And this clearly does a lot to reassure his friend.
I can imagine, yeah.
And so, and basically at this point, it should be pretty obvious to Aya that Kenji is a smooth operator. He knows how to talk to people and to get the most out of them. Mm-hmm. This is something the Yasuki are quite famous for. They are really good at making deals with people without money actually changing hands. And he's clearly quite skilled at this himself. So once he's off the ship again, or you are both off the ship, obviously, he looks to you and says, "We need to do something about this. That you lost your voice in this battle." He says, "We need to get you something to write on. You do know how to read and write, right?" He says.
She nods.
All right. He gets he walks around the marketplace for a little while until he comes upon a stall where somebody is using there's a merchant there who is using an abacus, obviously, because for the math, but he's also using
Nerd.
Yes. He's using a piece of slate to note down his, a chalk and slate, basically, to write down on. And he ends up buying a similar piece of slate from the merchant. It's not terribly large, so you can carry it on your belt, like hanging from your belts. And the chalk can easily fit in a belt pouch.
Yeah.
And he gives them both to you and says, "So at least this way you'll be able to write some short replies or something," he says.
She starts writing something and then turns it around and says, "Thanks."
He smiles and nods. It's the least I could do," he says. And then From there on, he does precisely what he said he was going to do with the next period of time, in that he procures supplies for Kyoto and Hida. And they have already sent material north to Kaiyoshiro, so he's basically resupplying what they sent away.
Yeah.
And he even manages to get a few fingers of jade here and there, which is always difficult because, as you noticed yourself, these things are rare. But he manages to do so. And the thing is, you also notice he manages to accomplish all of this without once touching money. He never actually touches money himself. There are other people involved in the trades. He pulls on family contacts and so on. There are other people who uses money and cash to make deals and trades and so on. But for the most part, what he does is he promises that he says, "You give me this and I promise you so and so in return." And then this is the deal. And
he's trading in favors.
He's trading in favors. And a while goes by like that, but eventually, obviously, sooner or later, it becomes time to actually move towards the wedding itself.
Yeah. And
it will be taking place in this small place, in this coastal village over here. And the Yashiki is this one.
Ah, okay.
It's just that the name is so long that it
yeah. There's something very symbolic almost about the Yasuki name spilling over into Crane Lands.
Yes, there is, isn't there? But they so he is quite close to home, obviously, in the Yasuki headquarters are here.
Yeah.
And he cough. He talks quite a lot about his bride to be when he's when you are on the road, basically towards the wedding itself. And it's pretty obvious to you that, yeah, sure, this is an arranged marriage. Clearly, this is not a matter of these two having met and fallen in love and decided to get married. It is an arranged political marriage.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it could actually work out, because apparently they like each other.
Ah.
And
I feel like there's a proverb for that.
there might be.
Yeah, I might look that up.
And so he speaks of her quite fondly and quite warmly. And when you arrive at the wedding, it takes place over the course of 3 days, or it's planned to take place over the course of 3 days. The first day is for the last of the guests to arrive. They keep basically arriving in a steady stream, and to mingle and to get to know everyone else. For you, of course, this means staying close to Kenji, and getting letting what's it called, everyone say hello to him, basically, but keep an eye on that nobody's bringing a dagger or anything of the sort.
Mm-hmm.
And the second day is the wedding itself, and the third day is the feast. That's the way it is, so all the rituals will take place on day 2.
Alright,
And,
that's sensible enough.
And you also realize pretty quickly that there are a lot of crabs and a lot of cranes, obviously. There are a good few scorpions as well present. Not as many as the other 2 clans, of course, but there are actually scorpions present here. Probably because they are the closest major clan, and not inviting them for something this important would have been seen as a social faux pas.
Yeah.
But they are there, and there is a single representative from the Phoenix clan and a single one from the Dragons.
I think Aya tries to be as social as she can manage, considering the whole thing.
But
obviously she sticks close to
obviously
Yasuki at all times.
Obviously, and he is pretty good at being social. You realize, so you get to meet everyone, basically, at least briefly. You get to meet everyone, and he makes sure to introduce, because you get a lot of looks simply because of your size and because of your hair.
Mm-hmm.
So you get quite a lot of glances. And every time somebody does so, he makes sure to introduce you as well, so that he basically tells everyone who you are.
Yeah.
So this goes on for most of the first day, but on the second day.
On the 7th day, God. Sorry, I feel like we're going into a Bible verse.
No, not really. Don't worry. On the second day of the proceedings, all the rituals begin, and they start early in the morning. And this, you are basically summoned to his room just before the first of the rituals begin. And he smiles at you and he says, "Well, it has been a pleasure having you as my Yojimbo until now. However," he says, "today is the actual wedding day, and that means that you are officially released from your duties.
Go ahead.
But I should like for you to stay as my guest for the next couple of days. I know that you are probably eager to return to the wall, but please, we have traveled together for several months now. Stay for my wedding and then go home."
She kind of feigns thinking about it, and then eventually she nods and gives a little bow.
And he nods in return and thanks you for the kindness, and he presents you with a present. He gives you a small lacquered box, and inside it, if you open it, I don't know if you do, of course, that's up to you.
If it's polite to.
It is polite to. Inside it is a finger of jade, one of the ones that he managed to obtain.
Eyes kind of like light up.
Yes.
There's a little like she can't help but have a little smile on her face.
And he says, "I figured this would be a good present for any good Hida. It will come in handy on the wall. I have no doubt of that."
That's like all they get.
And so he and then he has to get ready for the actual wedding ceremony. People, servants arrive with his ceremonial clothing and so on and so forth. So you're dismissed at that point, and that is the point where you are no longer officially his Yojimbo.
I think out of kind of a sense of duty, though, like Aya is also still gonna kind of not literally be like, oh, I'm going to hover around him, but just keep an eye out in general.
Of course.
Because she's kind of still on the job, right?
Yeah. Plus, he's been a nice guy.
Yeah.
It helps.
I assume Hida hasn't like met the bride yet.
No, you've met the bride the day before, again, relatively briefly when everybody mingled.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just a brief thing.
There wasn't a chance to like
no, because
give the present. I
no, that would be something that you would normally do on day 3 during the feast.
All right,
and so the wedding ceremonies begin, and they are long, and for the most part they are fairly tedious. But at one point during the day, a lot of the guests, not absolutely all the guests, but a lot of the guests are gathered in what will be the feasting hall on the third day.
Mm-hmm.
And a cup of sake is brought for everyone to drink to the good health of the bride and groom.
Huh.
This is part of the ceremony.
Yeah, like obviously, accepts it, joins in.
Yes. And the moment you drink it, you realize almost immediately something is wrong. And then you pass out.
Uh-oh.
Yes. And you have no idea how long you're out for. The only thing you know is that when you wake up, the woman who had been sitting next to you, who was a scorpion,
mm-hmm.
is lying on the floor. Her eyes are wide open. There's no light in them whatsoever. She's clearly dead. There's blood seeping from her nose and from the corner of her mouth. And you can see, as you slowly regain consciousness, that this is the case for a lot of people in this room. A lot. In fact, you see only 4 people moving, yourself included. One of them is the bride. One of them is the phoenix that you saw. One of them is the dragon that you also briefly met. Everyone else is lying deathly still, including Kenji. And then you hear this horrific, monstrous, otherworldly laughter. It is not natural.
Well, I think Aya is kind of stunned for a while, right? Like,
yes.
Obviously. Does she have her katana on her?
Yes, you do.
Well, she draws it. And
so you get to your feet and draw your weapon.
Yeah, and kind of like try to find out where the laughter is coming from.
It seems to be coming from all around you and nowhere in particular. But it is somewhere in this room. You just can't see what it is that's laughing. It's invisible. And that is the point where we're going to stop.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well then, I am curious how this will develop.
So
obviously, I do have some of this ahead of time, but I hope the audience also had a good time.
I hope so. You get 1 XP.
Awesome.
Because the way you get XP in this game is you get one. You can get for really good RP, but normally you get 1 XP per hour played.
Ah, okay. XP. Let's see. Total XP 1. There we go. Wonderful.
Yes. And I think on that note, I will look to the audience and say thank you for listening in. And we hope that you will join us when the campaign begins in earnest, which we plan on doing at some point in either in late December or very early January, but hopefully in December. That's the plan anyway. Yeah, from us here at CharismaToAC, thank you very much and bye for now.